Hi friends, welcome to my channel Malinka Yarn Crafts. If you are new here, my name is Alicia and I design patterns and share crochet tutorials for different skill levels, from crochet stitches and home decor to crochet accessories and garments. In today's tutorial, I will be showing you how to crochet the Blooming Lotus bucket bag. This bag is designed to be worn crossbody and has a long shoulder strap. The pattern is for one size, but you can adjust the depth of the bag and the length of the shoulder strap as needed. You can also find a printable PDF version of this pattern in my Ravelry and Etsy shops. This bag is part of a set, so make sure to check out the matching sun hat tutorial, which I will link below. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please give it a like and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This project is worked in 2 strands of yarn held double. So I'm going to be pulling out of 2 cones simultaneously using 2 strands of yarn at the same time. I did choose 2 different colors for today's tutorial because I thought they would match well together, but you don't need to have 2 different colors. You can use 2 skeins or 2 balls of yarn or 2 cones of the same color. This particular yarn is the Peaches and Cream. It is a medium worsted weight yarn, so it's a number 4 weight yarn. It is 100% cotton yarn. I do recommend that you stick with cotton for this project. It is better for the durability of your bag, and it would just be easier to wash it in the washing machine with warmer water. Since, you know, using your bags, throwing them around, they might get dirty. So it's nice to have a yarn that is easy to wash. So yeah, if you substitute this yarn, just look for similar, so similar weight and similar composition of yarn. And I will post the exact amounts that you're going to need in the description box below. But I can tell you that these 2 cones, which is 400 grams each, I made a bag, I made a summer hat, and I still had a little bit left over. We're also going to need a 6mm hook, a stitch marker so we can mark the first stitch in each round, some scissors, and a measuring tape. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so to start, we're going to make a magic ring. And as I said, we do want to work with 2 strands of yarn at the same time. If you've never made a magic ring, you can watch me do it. There are so many different ways to do a magic ring, and sometimes somebody's method will look very complicated, but another one may click. So you can watch me do it, or you can do it in whichever method you prefer. And if you're still having trouble with a magic ring, you can always chain 3 and then close the loop and then work into that chain. Okay, so here's how I do my magic ring. Going to grab those yarn tails, and then you're going to have your index and middle finger out like this, and you're going to wrap the yarn tail around those 2 fingers from front to back 1 time and then 1 more time. So now your tail is down here, and you're going to secure it with your ring finger right there. So if you're looking from the palm of your hand there, see, it's wrapped around your fingers twice. So then you have your working yarn right here. You have 1 full loop here, and you have your tails hanging back here. So you're going to grab your hook and go under this full loop and grab a hold of that working yarn right there. And you're going to pull this working yarn through this loop. And as you pull the yarn through, you're going to twist your hook upwards like that. Okay, so let's do it again. Go through the loop, grab the yarn, and as you go through, you're twisting it up this way. Okay, so now we're going to go and grab that working yarn again and pull it through the loop on our hook. Okay, so we were here. We're going to grab the working yarn and pull it through that loop. Okay, So we're here. So now you're going to turn your fingers to the left or away from you so that our tail is on the left hand side right there. Okay, so and this is the direction we will be working. So we want to work in this direction where we have the two strands. We have the loop and we have the tail. And you can see it's a flexible tail that you can pull in and out. Now I can tighten the stitch a little bit, bring my working yarn over and tighten this up. Okay, as I said, if this is too complicated, too confusing, chain 3, then join in the first chain and you will have a ring. You will not have a flexible ring, so you might have a tiny bit of a hole there, but it should work just fine with 3 or 4 chains. Okay, so round 1. Round 1, we're going to work 7 single crochets into the magic ring. So go into the ring and work 1 single crochet. And this is where we're going to need our stitch marker. So we want to mark our very first stitch of the round. This way we will never lose count. We're always going to be able to find the first stitch and last stitch of the round and count all of the stitches. Okay, so this was 1. We need 6 more. So we're going to work 6 stitches, and as you work this one, again, you're going to need to tighten up your stitches a little bit. We don't want the back bottom to be too loose or have too many holes. If you've never worked with 2 strands of yarn, might take some getting used to. But as you work, it will get easier. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 more, so 7 total. Okay, then I'm going to pull in my ring, tighten it up. All right, this is my first round. Okay, so for round 2, we're going to keep working in a continuous round. So this entire back bottom is a circle worked in continuous rounds. So basically it's a spiral. So we're going to keep going. There's no joining, turning, anything like that. We're going in the same direction over and over in the spiral. Okay, so round 2, we're going to have a round of increases. So an increase for this pattern is 2 single crochets into 1 stitch. So round 2, we're going to have increases in every stitch, and we're going to end up with 14 stitches at the end of round 2. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker and work into the first stitch, and we're going to work 2 single crochets. One. Again, don't forget to mark the first stitch of the round every time, so you never lose your first stitch. So now I'm working 1 more into the stitch, same stitch. Okay, so the entire round is 2 single crochets into every single stitch, and at the end of this round you're going to have 14 stitches. Okay, so finished round 2. So we made 2 single crochets into every single stitch, and we should have 14 stitches here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14. And I do recommend that you check your stitch count every time. We will need a specific number of stitches once we move from the base of the bag to the sides, to the walls. So I do recommend you check your stitch count every time. Okay, so starting round 3, we're going to do an increase into every other stitch. So I'm going to start with an increase here. So work 2 single crochets into the first stitch. Again, always mark your first stitch. So this is 1, and then work one more into this one. Then I'm going to work one single crochet into the next stitch. Next one is going to be 2 single crochets into the same stitch, so an increase. Okay, so you get the point. We work an increase and then 1 single crochet, increase, so 2 into the next one and 1 into the next one. Okay, so increase into every other stitch into the second one. So at the end of this round, you will have 21 stitches. Each round increases by 7 stitches, so you're just going to keep going this way, and each round will increase by 7. So if you need the stitch count for each round, just know it's 7, 14, 21, 28, and so on. Okay, so going to start on round 4, and round 4 is going to have 2 single crochets between the increases. So in the, this round 3 we had an increase and then 1 single crochet, increase, 1 single crochet. So now we're going to have 2 single crochets between the increases. So I'm going to start actually by working one of the 2 single crochets. So in the beginning of the round I'm going to work 1 single crochet. Mark this one. Now I'm going to work an increase. And now I'm going to go into my pattern of doing 2 single crochets between the increases. So we single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then we work an increase again. So 2 single crochets in the next one. Okay, so again, 1 single crochet in the next 2 and then increase. So 2 single crochets in the next one. Oops. So we're going to work that all the way around, and because we only worked 1 in the beginning, then we're going to have 1 at the end as well. So basically these 2 stitches that are in between the increases in the beginning and the end of the round, so they're split up. So 1 is in the beginning and 1 is in the end. Okay, so we're going to keep working 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, increase. So 2 single crochets, increase, 2 single crochets, increase. Okay, I'm at the end of the round here. I have my last increase, and then the very last stitch, we're going to work 1 single crochet. Okay, so now we should have 28 stitches. So each round increases by 7 stitches. So we had 21, now 28. So next one is round 5, and round 5 is going to be it's going to have 3 stitches between the increases. So we're going to start our round 5 by doing an increase in the first stitch. So single crochet, mark that stitch right away. So now we have 3 single crochets in the next 3, so 1 single crochet in the following 3 stitches. So 1, 1, and 1. And now we're doing an increase. And 1 single crochet in the following 3 stitches. And so on. So hopefully you are starting to see a pattern here. So every odd round starts with an increase, and then we're doing our single crochets. Every even number starts with a regular single crochet, no increase in the beginning of the round. The reason we are doing this is that we don't want to stack our increases on top of each other, because it will end up looking as a hexagon. So it will have very sharp edges if we keep stacking the increases in the same place. So if we started with an increase in every single round, we would have the increases on top of each other like that, and they will have sharp edges. So it'll look like it has like a hexagon, a septagon. So that's why we splitting up the increases on every even number row. So this is row 5, so we're working an increase in the first stitch, then 3 single crochets, increase 3 single crochets. Once we finish row 5, we're going on to row 6. So every row we're going to increase the number of single crochets between the increases. So in the next round it's going to be increase and then 4 single crochets, increase 4 single crochets. Then the following round is going to be increase and 5 single crochets, and then increase and 7 single crochet between the increases. Okay, so this is round 5. I started with an increase. In round 6, I don't want to start with an increase. So when I come around and I start my next round, in the first stitch, I'm going to just work a single crochet. So every time I work an even number, I will start with a single crochets. However, I'm going to split the number of the single crochets in the beginning and end of the round as the same way I did in the round 4. So I started with 1 instead of 2 single crochets. Okay, so we're going to finish round 5. On round 6, I'm going to have 4 single crochets between increases. So I'm going to start the round with 2 of them, then do the increase, then have 4 single crochets between the increases, and so on. So starting the round with 2, so then at the end of the round I'll have 2 single crochets as well. So 1 single crochet in 2 stitches. Then round 7 is going to be start with an increase and have 5 single crochets between the increases. Then the next round you're going to start with 3 single crochets, then do your increase, then you're going to have 6 between each increase, and then at the end of the round you're going to have 3. So basically every round you have an additional stitch between the increases, and every odd number is going to start with an increase, and every even number is going to split up the number of stitches that between the increases. So you'll do half of them in the beginning of the round and half at the end. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If you need additional explanation, you can definitely get the written pattern, and that one has all of the rounds written out for you. So I'm going to keep working on my base off camera, and we will need to make a total of 12 rounds. So by the end of round 12, you're going to have 84 stitches. Please keep marking the first stitch of each round. We want to make sure that we always know where the first stitch is. So let's work the base until we have 12 rounds total, and then I will meet you back here. So here we are. I have completed 12 rounds and I have 84 stitches all around. And now we can measure the base, and my base measures approximately 8 inches in diameter, so all across. Depending on your tension, it might be slightly more or slightly less. So now we're going to start working on the body of the bag, and the first 3 rounds are going to be working 1 single crochet in every stitch all around. So 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in each stitch. So we'll have 3 rounds of 84 stitches each. We're not increasing, we're not decreasing. We're keeping the same stitch count for the next 3 rounds. And what that is going to do is going to create the fold where your bag starts going up. All right, so again, we want to keep our stitch marker in the first stitch of the round so that we know exactly when we reach the end of each round. So round one of the body, one single crochet into every single stitch, then the next round, one single crochet into every single stitch, and then one more round of one single crochet into every single stitch. So let's complete those 3 rounds and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I finished those 3 rounds of single crochets all around. So now if you flip this one over, you will see that it will start sloping upwards. There we go. So it is starting to go up and forming the walls. Before we move forward, I would suggest that we hide these tails. So weave them in and cut them before we move forward so that you don't have to dig into the bag once the walls get bigger and taller. So it'd be easier to do it now. And then we can go ahead and start on our next round. So starting with this next round is where we're going to start working our beautiful lotus stitch pattern. And we're going to be working in the same direction. So we are not turning, we're not switching directions. We're going to keep working this way. We're going to start the round with one single crochet in the first stitch. So I'm going to remove the stitch marker here and work one single crochet. And I'm going to mark the single crochet as my first stitch of the round. Okay, so now we're going to skip 2 stitches and go into the next one and work a puff stitch. To work a puff stitch, we're going to yarn over. So we're skipping 2, go into the next one, yarn over and drop a loop. You want to stretch these loops a little bit. Now we're going to do this one more time. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over and drop another loop. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on our hook. And remember, we do have double strands here, so you don't want to count each strand separately. So we're counting the double strand as one loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we had one more on our hook. So now that we have these 5 loops, we're going to yarn over and draw through the first 4, and then yarn over and go through the last 2 loops. So we made our first puff stitch. Usually puff stitches you have to yarn over 3 times at least to create a nice puff, but because we do have these double strands, we only have to do this twice. Okay, so we made our first puff stitch. Now we're going to chain 2. And we're going to work another puff stitch into the same stitch right there. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop. Again, stretch them out. There we go. Yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over, draw up another loop. Again, we have 5 loops on our hook, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yarn over, pull through the first 4, yarn over and pull through the last 2. Okay, 2 puff stitches and chain 2 in between. And now we want to do it one more time. So chain 2 and do one more puff stitch. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Stretch them out, yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the first 4, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And this is what is going to give us that lotus stitch right there. Okay, so now that we've completed our group of stitches here, we're going to skip 2 stitches and work one single crochet into the next one. Here we go. And this is our first lotus stitch flower. And now we're going to repeat this pattern all around. So we're going to skip 2 stitches and work a puff stitch into the next one. Chain 2 Work another puff stitch into the same place, so the same stitch. 1 and 2. Yarn over, pull through 4, yarn over, pull through the last 2, and one more time, chain 2, and one more puff stitch into the same place. 1 and 2, yarn over, pull through 4, yarn over, pull through 2. Here we go. And now we're going to skip 2 and work a single crochet into the next one. Okay, we're going to keep working the same pattern all the way around. So let's do one more together. Yarn over, skip 2 stitches, go into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go into the same stitch, pull up another loop. 5 loops on hook, yarn over, pull through 4, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 2, make another puff stitch in the same place. Once, twice, pull through 4, pull through 2, chain 2, go into the same stitch, make another puff stitch. Here we go. Yarn over, pull through 4, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, skip 2 and work 1 single crochet into the next stitch. There we go. All right, so let's repeat this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you back here once we're almost to the beginning of the round. So once we have 2 stitches left. Okay, here we are at the end of this round. So I have 2 stitches left before my stitch marker. So now what we want to do is we want to join the round into that stitch marker. So I just finished the last group of the lotus flowers. So now I need to join into the first stitch of the round. I'm going to remove the stitch marker and I'm going to slip stitch into that single crochet from the beginning of the round. So just a slip stitch, pull all the way through. There we go, and this round is finished. Okay, so we're going to continue on the next round working in the same direction. So we keep working in the same direction the entire time, only this time we do want to join the round and then start our next round. So for the next round, we actually want to start our round all the way up here. So we want to start the round in the middle of this first lotus flower. So we want to start at the top right here. So how do we get from here to here without cutting the yarn and joining a new piece of yarn here? So we're going to slip stitch up this way until we reach this puff stitch where we need to start the round. Okay, so we're going to slip stitch until we get to this middle puff. So I'm going to slip stitch into this first puff stitch, slip stitch into that chain, and you don't have to go through both since it can be difficult. I'm just going to go through the front loop only. We're just slip stitching so we can get our yarn up there where we need to start the next round. There we go. And now we're going to start our new round up here, and we're going to start the same way. So we're going to start with a single crochet in the top of this puff stitch right here, right in the middle. So we're going to work 1 single crochet here and mark this stitch as the first stitch of the round. So now we're going to work our lotus flowers in this valley here. So you're going to find that single crochet there, and we're going to work this cluster, so this group of stitches in this single crochet. So yarn over, go into that single crochet, we're skipping all the stitches in between, and we're going to work our lotus flower in here. So 1 puff stitch, there we go, chain 2, one more puff stitch, chain 2, and one more puff stitch in the same stitch. Here we go. And now we're going to bring it down and work a single crochet into the top of this middle puff stitch. Okay, so we're skipping everything in between. So we're going to skip this puff stitch, 2 chains, and work the single crochet right at the top of this flower. Okay, so now we're repeating this pattern again. So the same thing, I'm going to work our lotus flower in the next single crochet, and then work a single crochet in the top of that middle puff stitch. And again, lotus flower in the single crochet, and then single crochet into the top of that lotus flower. All right, so let's work that all the way around until we reach the stitch marker, until we have 2 stitches left before that beginning of the round. So here we are almost to the end of the round, and I do need to make one more group, one more lotus flower right here. So here is where it's a little bit different. So if you remember, we did have to do the slip stitches going up. So if you look here, I'll show you where we need to work. So it's not one of the stitches that you can see at the top, but instead of these slip stitches, you want to go under the slip stitch and work into that single crochet. Okay, so we want to work into the single crochet below. So right there, this is where we slip stitch to go this way and up. So we're going to go into that single crochet below the slip stitch. So right there, and we're going to work our last group in there. And this will really hide that transition to the next round. And you're going to have this seamless, you'll have the seamless rounds here. One more. Okay, so now we have to close the round, and we're going to work right there into the first stitch from the beginning of this round. So we're going to slip stitch to close the round. Okay, so now we're going to repeat this round. We're going to keep repeating the same round. Now here you can see this really well, so we just slip stitch in here. So we're going to continue going up this way, but this is where you're going to work when you close the next round right there. Okay, so now we're just repeating this round that we just made over and over again. So we're going to slip stitch until we get up there to the next lotus flower right in the middle at the top. Okay, so here is where we're going to start our next round and work a single crochet, and mark the single crochet as the first stitch. All right, so now we can repeat this round that we just made over and over again until we have the height, the depth of the bag that we want. In my other sample here, for example, I stopped when I had a depth of 11 inches. So from that first round after the base, so we have 3 rounds of single crochet, right? So after the base, from this first round to the edging right here, I have 11 inches. This is the depth that I wanted, and I have here a total of 19 rounds of the lotus stitch, but you can adjust the depth of your bag to the depth that you want. So just keep going until you reach the depth that you want. And then once you're done, Just keep in mind that you do need approximately an inch to a quarter, 3/4 to an inch here still for the edging. So you want to stop approximately an inch before you reach the total depth that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on this sample. So we're going to work this round over and over again until we have the depth that we want, and then I'll meet you back here to continue with our last few rounds. So I've worked a few more rounds here and I reached the depth that I wanted for my bag. So I have a total of 11 inches depth here, and I do measure from those 3 rounds of single crochets that I didn't have any increases. So that is the first round of the bag here after we did the base. So I have about 11 inches here, and this is good for me. This will stretch a little bit once you add weight to the bag, so keep that in mind. So I have 11 inches here, and in these 11 inches I have a total of 19 rounds. So I have 3 rounds of single crochets and I have 16 rounds of Lotus stitch flowers. And I wanted to show you that on this other sample, even though I used the same weight yarn, same brand yarn, it is a different colorway, and maybe my tension was a little bit different, or this yarn is slightly thinner, but I have 3 extra rounds here in the exact same depth, so exact same length here, 11 inches. I had to have 3 additional rounds. So that's why I recommend using measurements rather than round when working this pattern, because it really does depend on your tension, the hook you're using, sometimes even small yarn variations. All right, so once we are close to the height of the bag that we wanted, we're going to go ahead and do the last few rows here to finish it off. So the next round is going to be a round where we're going to level off our flowers here. So we're going to start by working 1 half double crochet into the same stitch. So this is the stitch where we finished the previous round. So we slip stitched here to join the round, and we're going to work our first stitch in this round in the same stitch. So we're going to yarn over and go into the same stitch and work a half double crochet. Here we go. And I'm going to mark this half double crochet as the first stitch of this round. There we are. Okay, so now we're going to work a single crochet into the top of that puff stitch, single crochet into the chain 2 space, single crochet into the top of the next puff stitch, single crochet into the next chain 2 space, and single crochet into the next puff stitch. So we are pretty much working mostly single crochets, except for when we reach that valley where we had the single crochet from the round before, so from the previous round, and that's where we're going to work our half double crochet just to even out the height a little bit. So single crochets across the flower, and then when you reach that single crochet from the round below, you're going to work a half double crochet. Let's do it one more time together. So 1 single crochet into the top of the puff stitch, 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space, 1 single crochet into the next puff stitch, 1 single crochet into the next chain 2 space, single crochet into the next puff stitch, and here where we have the single crochet in the round below, we're going to work a half double crochet. Okay, so let's work this pattern all the way around, and I'll meet you back here once we're close to our stitch marker, close to the beginning of the round again. Okay, almost to the end of this round. I have 1 more stitch to work into that last puff stitch, and this round is finished. So now we should have 84 stitches all the way around. So we should have the same stitch count we had before we started the Lotus pattern. So right here in that last round of single crochets we had 84 stitches, so now we should have 84 stitches as well. Okay, and the next round is going to be a round of single crochets. So we're just going to work one single crochet per stitch, and I'm going to start in this first stitch. So single crochet, and we're just going to continue on top of that. We don't need to join or anything. So this is the first stitch, and now we're just working single crochets all the way around. So at the end of this round, we're going to have 84 stitches again as well. Here we are, and now we have one more round left. So on this last round, we're going to create this nice edging here. So for this next round, we're going to start into this first stitch. And the pattern here is going to be single crochet, chain 2 single crochet into this first stitch. So go into this first stitch of the round, work 1 single crochet. Again, we're going to mark this one as well. Chain 2 and single crochet into the same stitch. Okay. Now we're going to skip 1 stitch, so skip 1 and go into the next one and work the same pattern. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. There we are. So we're going to work this all the way around. Skip 1 stitch, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, skip 1, single crochet, chain 2 single crochet. Okay, so we're going to work this pattern all the way around. All right, so here we are at the end of this round, and I've worked the last group here of single crochet, chain 2 single crochet, and now I have 1 stitch left here, and we're going to skip this one and then go ahead and slip stitch into the first stitch of the round to join. Okay, so skip the last stitch and join into the first stitch of the round with a slip stitch. Okay, so now the main part of our bag is finished. Now we have to work our handles. Okay, so now that we've finished the main pattern, what we have left to do for our bag is to make the strap and the cord for cinching here, for closing the bag. So the strap is made in this puff stitch. These are modified puff stitches. I'll show you how we do this. It is a pretty strong cord that forms here. It doesn't stretch very much, and it can hold a lot of weight. So I think it's a great cord pattern to work for this bag. You can always replace this with pre-made straps that you can buy from craft stores or from Amazon, the ones that kind of clip on the sides here. But I do want to show you how to completely hand make this bag, so I will show you how I made the straps and the cord here. Okay, so we're going to start on the cord, and we're going to start from where we finished our previous round. So we don't need to cut the yarn, we're just going to continue with the same yarn. So first we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the chain 2 space. Okay, so we want to start in this chain 2 space here. Okay, so now we're going to stretch out this loop approximately to the height of a puff stitch. So we're going to have these longer stitches here, these puff stitches. So we want to stretch this loop. This loop is going to be part of our stitch. So we're going to stretch it out to the height of that puff stitch. Next, we're going to work half double crochet 2 together into the same space. So how do we do that? So you're going to start a half double crochet, so yarn over, go into the same chain 2 space, yarn over and pull up a loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. Now we're going to start another half double crochet. So we're not finishing this one off, we're going to start a new one. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up another loop. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember, these are double strands, so we count 2 as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have 5 loops on our hook. So now we're going to finish off that half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over and pull through all of the loops on our hook. And this is 2 half double crochets together. And now we're going to chain 1 to close this loop and secure these 2 half double crochets. There you go, so we can tighten it up. And now it looks like a nice big puff stitch here. So it's slightly different, so that's why we don't want to call it the same thing, because it's made slightly differently, but it looks almost the same. Okay, so next we're going to work a puff stitch into the same stitch. So we work those puff stitches down here, and this is the same principle, but instead of yarning over 2 times, we're going to yarn over 3 times. So this is going to be a triple puff stitch. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So this is 1. We're going to do this one more time. Yarn over, go into it, yarn over, pull up a loop. This is 2. This is what we did on the lotus flower. But here we're going to do it one more time. We want a thicker strap, so we need to do it one more time. So yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up another loop. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops on our hook. So now we're going to yarn over and pull through the first 6. That's the difference between the half double crochet 2 together and a puff stitch. Half double crochet 2 together, at the end you go through all of the loops. On the puff stitch you go through all of the loops except the last one that's on your hook. And now we're going to yarn over and pull through. Okay, so now we're going to keep building on this, and we're going to be working in this space. So in order to go up, we're going to have to turn our work. So turn your work. I'm going to turn away from me. Here we go. And we're going to basically do the same thing, but in this space. So again, we're going to start by stretching out this loop to the height of a puff stitch and work half double crochet 2 together. So yarn over, go into that space, yarn over, pull up a loop. 3 loops on our hook. Again, yarn over, go into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now you're going to yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook. And now we're going to yarn over and pull through. So we're chaining 1 here at the end of the half double crochet 2 together. We're going to chain 1. Okay, and now we're going to do a triple puff stitch into the same space. So 1, 2, and 3. Pull through all but the last one, and then yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so now we're going to keep repeating this until we have the length. So half the length of our strap. Remember, the other half is going to be on the other side, which we're going to make later. So we can do one more together. We're going to turn our work. Stretch that loop. There we go. Work that half double crochet 2 together and that chain 1 space. So yarn over, go into that space, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then another one. So 2 half double crochets all together. There we go. And now chain 1. And we want this chain to be tight so that it really tightens up this puff stitch here. Okay, and then we're going to work our triple puff stitch. So yarn over once, twice, and 3 times. Yarn over, pull through all but last, and yarn over and pull through 2. Here we go. So we're just going to keep going this way, and just so you know, it does look a little bit uneven at each level, but it will even out because it does go back and forth, and it will even out. It's not going to be longer or shorter on either side. So it's going to look like this, and it's going to even out in length. Okay, so I finished working my cord here, and it has a length of approximately 38 inches. If you stretch it out, you'll get close to 39 inches, and this is the length I figured works for me as a crossbody. And now I am going to go ahead and fasten off. And when I fasten off, I'm going to leave a long tail so that I can use that tail to attach the cord to the other side of the bag. So we can go ahead and grab our scissors and cut the yarn. Again, I'm going to leave a pretty long tail here just so I can use it to attach my cord. Okay, so now we want to make sure that we attach the cord to the middle of the opposite side, right here. You can count the stitches as well. So I figured my middle is over here. This is where I want to attach. And you can make sure that it is in the center, so I can count how many stitches I have on both sides and make sure that I have the same amount of stitches on each side, on both sides. So I'm just going to count the tips here of the edging. So the edging we did in the last round, and I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. And I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So this is exactly the middle. So now I'm going to go ahead and attach the cord to the other side, and we want to make sure that the cord is not twisted. Here we are. Perfect. Gotta fasten off first. Here we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach it over here. So I'm going to pull the tail through here all the way. There. Okay. And then I'm going to pull the tail through here and go back into that chain space again. Just do this a few times until I'm confident that it is nice and tight. I can even go through the stitch here. Oops, the other way around. And pull it through here and back through the space. Okay, so there's no exact science here. You just want to make sure that it is really nice and tight and it doesn't come undone later on. And one last time. All right, so now it seems pretty tight. So with these ends now we want to take a yarn needle and go ahead and knot it around here. And then we can go ahead and hide these tails so we can weave them in. Okay, so let's knot this first. And one more time. Okay, now I can go ahead and just weave in this end so that I can hide these tails. And one last time in an opposite direction. And we can go ahead and cut. And here we are. So once we're done with this step, the only thing left to do is make this other cord that we're going to use to cinch the opening of the bag. This cord is made out of chain stitches. So this is a simple chain cord that has tassels at the bottom on each end, and this cord is approximately 50 inches. So the chain cord is 50 inches. So we're just going to chain until we have the length that we need. And when you think about the length that you need, you basically just need to have enough so that you can go all the way around, so you can actually tie a knot here and do a little bow and still have a little bit hanging. So again, this is an adjustable length, so you can make it whichever length you prefer. But keep in mind that you will need to be able to tie it and maybe make a little bow here as well so that you don't knot it. And for me, that was approximately 50 inches. So this is what we're going to do now. Okay, so this chain cord is also made with 2 strands of yarn, so we're still going to make it double-stranded. So we're going to grab both strands again and start with a slip knot. And before you make your slip knot, keep in mind that we will have to add tassels here at the end, so we want to leave a longer tail. There we go. So as you make your slip knot, the other thing you want to watch out for is that you don't tighten it up too much. So normally we would make the slip knot and we would tighten this knot here at the end. However, we are going to need to be able to put our tassels through this loop here at the end. So you want to make sure it's not tighter than the thickness of your crochet hook. So leave this tiny little loop here. So don't tighten it all the way. Okay, and so now we're just going to chain. We're going to keep chaining until we have the length of the cord that we need. So I don't want the chains to be too loose. I want them to be well defined and tight, so that it's not too stretchy or too loose. And so I don't have an exact amount of chain stitches for you here. Just keep going until you have the length of the cord that you want to have for your bag. Or if you're making the exact same size, using the same yarn, same hook, you can just crochet your chain stitches until you have approximately 50 inches in length. And then I'll meet you back here so that we can work on our tassels together. Okay, so here's my cord. And now I can go ahead and fasten off. So again, here at the end, we want to, when we fasten off, we want to make sure that we don't tighten this last loop too much so that we can fit in our tassels. Also, before you cut here, you also want to leave a longer tail that is going to be part of your tassels. So let's say you want tassels that are approximately 4 inches long. We want to have about 5 inches. There. I'm going to cut here at 5 inches and then go ahead and pull through. And again, I'm not going to tighten this one up. I'm going to make my tassels in here. Okay, so now we're going to get started on the tassels. So again, this tail is going to be part of the tassels as well. So if we want tassels that are 4 inches long, we want our tails, so we want our strands to be about 5 inches long, because we need to have enough room on these strands to wrap the tassel around and then be able to trim at the bottom as well. So you want to add about another inch, so 5 inches. So now we're going to cut strands of yarn that are double that length, so 10 inches long. So I'm going to do 2 sets since these are double-stranded, and I will pull from both yarn cones because I have those color variations that I want to keep. Okay, so I'm going to do 5 inches here. So I need 10, so we want double that length, about 10 inches. Go ahead and cut. Okay, so here I have 6 strands total. So it really depends on how thick you want your tassels to be. So you can add as many strands as you want. You do still need to be able to pull them through the loops here, which on this end should be easy. So it just depends. So this is the thickness that I'm going to have right there. So if you want more, you can cut additional strands of yarn if you want thicker tassels. Okay, so once we have cut all of our strands, and I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strands here, and these 2 is going to be 8. So I have 8 strands total. So I'm going to take these strands that I just cut and loop them around my finger in half, and then we're going to go ahead and pull them through this loop here for this last loop that we left open right there. Okay, so now you have this big loop, big thick loop here. Going to drop your hook, insert your thumb and index finger through that loop, and then grab all those tails and pull them through the loop. Now you also want to grab that tail as well and pull it through the same loop. So I'm going to tighten it up now and stick it through that same loop as well, just to make it part of the tassels. So now we can go ahead and pull on these tails and tighten up our tassels. There we go. And then you can pull on these separately to tighten that last loop. Here we go. And you can keep tightening, you can keep pulling on these tails until you have a really nice tight knot here. There we go. Okay, so now we just need to trim these to have the same length all across. So I'm just going to trim them so that they're the same length. And then we can measure and see if we like this length, and we can always trim them a little bit more. And it's very uneven. So you can do the hairdresser trick, put through your fingers here, and this will help you straighten them out. There you go. Now they should be straight. Here we are. And now we need to add these tassels on the opposite end as well. So we're going to cut strands of yarn again for this side. So 3 times 10 inches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so we're going to do the same on this end. Again, loop it around your index finger in half. So this is where I mentioned to you, make sure you keep this loose, because now we have to fit in all of these strands through here. I'm going to go from this end here from the back. Okay. And pull all of these strands for this loop. You can always do a couple at a time if all of them at once is too much. Here we go. Now I'm going to pull all of these through, and again, as we did on the other side, I want to pull this end through as well. So I'm going to tighten it up now and pull it through to hide it. Here we go. Okay, so now we're just going to tug on these gently until we have that knot there. All right, here we are. And now we just need to trim these as well, and we want to make sure that they're the same length. Okay, so I'm going to do this again so that I can trim the other side to the exact same length. Here we are. And our cord is finished. We just need to loop this around, and you basically want to find the middle of the bag. This is where it's going to start and end. And we're going to loop that through the holes here in the last round of Lotus stitch. Okay, so basically I want them to come out right up front here, right? This is the center, so I want it to come out here in the center, so I'm going to start right here. And now I'm just going to weave it through these holes, and it doesn't have to be every single hole. You can leave a little bit of room between them. Right there. So it can be a little bit spread out right there. So we're just going to go all the way around like this and loop this through until we reach the other side. All right, here I am, and I just need to even it out a bit because I did leave less room on one side, so I can even it out here. And now we're all done.